Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Ambiliasia MOSHA from the Mwalimu Nyerere Memorial Academy, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I'm here to present to you the research that we conducted on the role of youth in Africa's democratization, reflecting on the Youth Manifesto. When we talk of democratization, we are referring to the process through which a political system becomes more democratic, and it is a movement that intends of giving more power to the people in terms of having a voice in such a way that they decide who rule over them and why, and have a say in all the major decisions that affect their lives. As far as democratization is concerned, the role of youth in the process cannot be neglected due to the fact that they comprise the majority and they are most affected by the social, political, and economic aspects of their countries. Youth have been witnessly taking part in political affairs, such as in civil wars and leadership positions, in initiating strikes, riots, and boycotts, and also the military coups and civil wars that are taking place in the Sahel region in Africa can be taken an example of youth participation in political affairs. For effective participation in political affairs, youth have created various platforms and structures for which they participate in democratization. One of them is Youth Manifesto. This is an instrument used by the youth to articulate their demands, which they demand from the state, donors, political parties, and other stakeholders. They involve cross-cutting issues that youth come together and they agree as their pressing demands, thus stand as youth voice. And since youth comprise of the majority of the population of the country, attending to their demands then equals to attending the demands of the whole society, hence paving way to democratization. Therefore, appraising this manifesto only the central task of my study. So the problem that I wanted to investigate was, as I said, to assess the role of youth participation democratization, focusing on the Youth Manifesto. Ideally, youth participation in political affairs and in democratization entail effective participation in decision making, which require democracy, where supreme power belongs to the people and where they can call their leaders into account. And one of the forums is involvement in democratic institutions such as politics and in democratic politics, such as free articulation and aggregation of their needs. However, as presented by scholars such as Carlson 2017 and Secora 2016, evidence show that youth are minimally participate in democratization process, witnessed by low voter turnout in general elections that are taking place in Africa. This apathy now brings into attention the significance of Youth Manifesto towards encouraging more youth participation in democratization. Additionally, whereas Youth Manifesto have existed for a long time, and despite the fact that they serve as the forums which stand as a forum for youth to exercise their civic duty, they are still minimally appraised in their literature. Therefore, the general objective of my study was to assess the role of youth in democratization, reflecting on Youth Manifesto as an instrument that serves as a guide for what youth demand, but also serves as a forum for their participation towards democratization. The study has three objectives. Number one, to assess the main agendas of the Youth Manifesto in the researched countries. Number two, to examine the Youth Manifesto agenda setting process towards democratization. And the third one, to pinpoint the challenges facing the Youth Manifesto as an instrument of democratization in Africa. From the literature, democracy is presented in three forms. It is direct democracy, participative democracy, and deliberative democracy, whereby deliberative democracy is termed more democratic by authors such as Crocker, Carlson and Estberg 2019, because these give more room to participants to brainstorm and reason the best way to resolve their problems, but also arguments are entertained and consensus is reached. Again, the concept of participation in the literature is presented with different approaches, such as the right-based approach, which has shown that providing a robust environment for youth participation means observing their fundamental rights, a development perspective, believing that youth participation builds their civic competence and development accordingly, whereby youth capacity to argue, influence, debating, negotiating are crucial for their civic participation, and a service perspective which provide that youth participation involve policymaking and implementation enhance better services, and the community perspective which speak on the inclusion that bring a sense of belonging and the recognition leading to community building. Now, all these approaches have informed the Youth Manifesto, whereby for the manifesto to be effective, all these approaches need to be taken into consideration in their making and in the implementation, hence leading to democratization. The study was led by Theory of Change by Oxfam 2020, with several propositions such as young people want to participate in decision making and have the potential to be leaders in all areas and at all levels. Young people in all their diversity are in the best position to understand their own realities but have limited access to decision making that affect their lives. Young people bring different ideas, perspective, and energy to development process that will have a positive impact on achieving broader societal change. And the last proposition of this theory is that developmental actors are willing to share their space with youth-led organizations. Now, these theoretical propositions have informed the data collection and analysis of findings of this study. As far as materials and methods are concerned, the study was exploratory in nature, adopting a qualitative approach, and the setting was Kenya and Tanzania. The population involved the youth, leaders of political parties, and those of youth-led organizations. Sampling technique was purposeful, snowballing, and convenient sampling, whereby a total of 4 participants were involved as a sample, including members from political parties, coordinators of this manifesto, and youth themselves. Data was collected through face-to-face and telephone interview and documentary review, in which several documents such as the youth manifesto, books, articles, and reports were involved in the study. Data was analyzed through content analysis. Now, as far as the findings are concerned, objective number 1 were on the assessing the agendas of the manifesto towards democratization, and the study has found that Tanzania has had 3 manifestos, the one of 2010, 2015, and 2020, and Kenya has had 2 manifestos, 2018 and 2020. Among the key agendas in both manifestos include access to economic empowerment, equity in education, well-being, agriculture, communication, innovation, and participation in decision-making. 3 key findings have been obtained as far as objective number 1 is concerned. The first one is that the first aspect of that, the manifesto agenda for both countries facilitated the role of youth in democratization. The agenda called for youth participation in different aspects of their lives and in decision-making, which result in democratization. For instance, the 2010 Tanzania Manifesto demanded an increase in level of youth participation in national and international decision-making forums, while the 2022 Manifesto demanded the provision of various forums that youth can use to discuss, including Youth Council. The Kenya 2018 Manifesto demanded the freedom for youth to organize without restriction, to meet regularly without impediments, and freedom to say what they want without fear and intimidation. Now, this means that good governance is a necessary condition for economic growth, which informs democratization. The second key findings, as far as the first objective was concerned, is that the manifesto also linked participation in political affairs with development, whereby democratization through political participation in political affairs and governance is also an important outcome of participation in promoting development activities. The Tanzania Youth Manifesto of 2022, for instance, states that youth make up more than half of the current population of Tanzania. Hence, their participation in civic and governance space is paramount in informing developmental outcomes. Now, with this quotation, it is vivid that civic participation entails participation in economic aspects and development, and which requires good governance. Also, the agenda demands inclusivity, whereby the inclusion of different categories of youth, girls, and boys, and youth living in rural and urban areas, and youth disability to be included in making the youth manifesto and eventually in democratization. As far as objective number 2 was concerned regarding the agenda setting process, the findings show the improvement of making the manifesto from one manifesto to the next in terms of coverage, techniques used, and awareness raising. For instance, the Kenya 2018 manifesto used the deliberative process entailing coverage of youth aging 20 to 35 years, massive consultation across countries, expert-led and youth-moderated Twitter chats, and other forums whereby more than 500 young people, leaders, invited guests from political parties were involved in its launching. Likewise, the Tanzania 2020 Manifesto involved over 2,000 young Tanzania from 30 regions, political parties members, civil society organization members, and prominent political parties were involved in creation and the launching of the manifesto. Therefore, the process could have seemed to have been consultative, using multiple approaches to collect information to reach many youth, involving multiple stakeholders in its launching, and it was inclusive in nature. As far as the objective number 3 was concerned, it was on the challenges faced in the manifesto as an instrument for democratization. And the study has shown that there are challenges such as lack of awareness of the existence of the manifesto and the agenda setting process. Then there are also another challenge was lack of funds among manifesto organizers. Another challenge was lack of implementation challenge, whereby many demands are set forth in each manifesto, but there is small progress of implementation of the demands. There are also a challenge of youth disinterestedness in civic matters and fragmentation of youth along political lines. Therefore, the study has highlighted that participation in the manifesto making process prompts civic engagement, which is a crucial factor for democratization. Also, the relationship between economic well-being of youth and democratization has become a vivid factor in this study as per the inclusive society perspective. However, the financial barrier prompt youth inequality, which prevents manifesto organizers from reaching as many youth as they can, and also limiting other youth to participate in the manifesto making process. According to Freire and Miranda 2017, when youth are financially free, they spend less time on breadwinning and get more time to take part in politics and become free from being manipulated by greedy politicians who only use them to foster their needs. Also, the finding revealed the importance of youth gathering and debating their ideas, whereby youth in contemporary societies prefer to speak out their concerns rather than have decisions made over them. Also, lack of seriousness on our political will in implementing youth demands have been highlighted in this study, and also the need to use more modern approaches to involve youth in democratization, such as using online platform, has also been set forth. Conclusive, therefore, the findings demonstrate that civic engagement is crucial in building youth capacity and raise their confidence and hence hold their leaders to account, resulting in democratization. Youth Manifesto as a forum to facilitate civic engagement also demand economic well-being of youth, the aspect that requires good governance. But whereas the findings that have proven that the manifesto are an effective instrument to bring youth together and push for democratization, it also shows that their credibility will remain minimal if the pressing challenges they face are not addressed. Therefore, the study has added to the existing knowledge as it brings new ideas on how the manifesto can be used as an instrument for youth participation in democratization. Thank you for listening.